Good morning. Today is Tuesday, September 1st, 2020. Today I'm going to be brewing some, actually the bag for this one this time, um, some Japanese single cultivar Sencha from Shizuoka, which is one of the major tea producing regions of Japan. This came from Happy Lucky's Tea House in Fort Collins. They're my favorite place in the world. If you want some tea, order it from them. Do me a favor, do them a favor. Keep them in business in these uncertain plague times of ours. So today I'm going to be doing this in a what's called a Shiboridashi. I've already actually prepared a little bit, so it's all rinsed and ready to go because it's going to take about 2 minutes to brew. So I have 54-ish degree water, slightly warmer than I would do a gyokuro. So I'm going to be doing that right now. Get this started while we talk. As you can see, the basic principle here is pretty similar to that of a gaiwan. The major difference is that this is sort of specifically for brewing Japanese green teas. It's the Japanese take on the gaiwan. The main difference, of course, is that there is a filter in the lid rather than just being just a porcelain lid that you would put on top of the cup. It's also made of different material. The other one is actually, I don't know that this is. The other one is porcelain. The gaiwan, I don't actually know what this is made of. It feels like stoneware, but it's glazed, so it doesn't sound like stoneware. It's kind of got a higher pitched ring. Truth be told, I'm not the hugest fan of this particular Shiboridashi. It looks kind of nice, but it's kind of I don't know. It doesn't filter very well for having a filter built into the thing. I've only used it like 3 times, so I'm kind of experimenting a little bit with this today. I don't use it very often for my greens. I mostly use a Kyusu for brewing my Japanese greens because it just pours better, filters better than this one does. But I don't want to make as much tea. Like I don't really have enough time to drink, like have a full session of tea. So I'm going to be using a little bit less leaf and a little bit more water, like gaiwan style, in order to get a more solid brew out of this. Just so that I can get the most out of the tea. As I've said, this is a single cultivar sencha, and what that means is that all the leaves within this tea come from the same plant or from clones of the same plant, I suppose, which is as I understand, that's what a cultivar is. They all share the same genetics, so you're getting a very consistent brew out of these leaves. Most teas are going to be a blend of several different genetics when you get them, because that allows for the tea maker to if they mix the leaves together, they can sell them at a lower price. Basically, they don't. There are certain risks associated with single cultivar production, namely that you have all of your plants share the same genetics, of course, and they're vulnerable to disease. You have to devote a whole lot of space to them, among other things. So single cultivar senchas in particular tend to be, in my experience, quite good, and I would try to be a little precious with them when I can. Just gotta get every last drop of water out there because I really don't want it to continue brewing and make the next cup bitter. So let's take a look at the leaves now. They've opened up quite a bit from when I first began. As you can see, they when I first put them in here, they were, it was maybe roughly half the bottom of the cup was covered. Now they've kind of expanded the entire cup. I'll take a whiff of the leaves here. I really love the way Sencha smells. It's very springy and refreshing and green. Not really a nearly beginning of fall drink, but it's actually quite nice out lately. My state is no longer on fire, so the smoke is cleared. As you can see, my room is very, very bright as compared to how it was last week when I was recording, and there was a lot of smoke filter that was keeping the brightness down. But regardless, I'm going to take this here and show off some of the color. It is not quite as green as the gyokuro. It's going to be a little more yellow, But that has to do with how Sencha and Gyokuro are produced. Um, Most Japanese green teas are shade grown, Sencha and Gyokuro in particular. Gyokuro gets something like 3 weeks under the shade before harvest time. So basically, what they do is they take a mesh filter and they will string it over the leaves or over the plants rather, and that causes the plant to panic a little bit and start to produce more chlorophyll in order to capture more of the sunlight. So what they do is they will gradually add more and more mesh over it over time, and that ups the chlorophyll production, and that produces that nice thick umami green flavor that they really value in Japanese green teas. Um, Senchas, I believe, typically get something like 10 to 12 days under the shade. A Gyokuro can get as many as 3 weeks. Um, so that's why it comes out a little more green than yellow. This is still pretty. I mean, this is a gorgeous, like, I don't even know what color I would call this. It's just nice and pale. It's almost like a moonlight kind of color. It's very very pretty looking. Pour it into my cup here. Again, it's just me today, so I will be enjoying this by myself. Take a sip of it here. So this has definitely come out a little stronger than my first cup, which is good. It's still, it is very. It's not as intensely umami as the Gyokuro was, but it's a lot more balanced. If the Gyokuro proved a little too much for you, this may be a good alternative. It's got this nice vegetal taste to it, this nice minerality. It's I can't really describe like specifically what it tastes like, but I'm trying to I'm trying to watch more videos of people tasting tea and just try to see how they describe the taste. That's one of the things I've always struggled with, is being like I taste it and I know what it tastes like to me, but I don't know how I would tell another person. It is a little more astringent than the Gyokuro too. Astringency is kind of the it's not a flavor. It's the um, how do I put it? It's sort of like a dryness on the tongue, almost like a not like a bite almost, which is it's more aggressive than I think I mean to describe it. Once you know what it tastes like, you know what astringency means. It's another thing that is difficult to describe in words. Um, but I just really like talking about tea, and that's the worst thing about that is doing it over video, is that the biggest components of tea are taste and smell, which are things that I cannot communicate except by words. But this is nice and refreshing, and just it's very relaxing. I think it would be very good iced. I'm not a big iced tea drinker, but I think this would be some ice and a little bit of agave or honey, and this would be excellent. Um, I don't generally drink my tea sweetened either, but I will admit that on a hot day, iced sweet tea is quite good. I lived in the South for a little while, and having their version of sweet tea is quite addictive if you don't think about what's actually in it. But anyway, this I kind of wanted to show off the Shiboridashi method. This is, again, it's not significantly different from the Gaiwan method, except that this is probably more for green teas. I think, now that I've tasted this a little more, I think I would probably lower the brew time. I think for my next one, I'll probably do like a minute 15 and see how that affects it. This was a little over 2 minutes, so but I typically, there's green teas are so prone to experiment. Like, you have to really find your sweet spot with them, especially if you're using different brewing methods. Like I said, I really have not used this one all that much, but yeah, if you have tried green teas in the past and have not found them to your liking, I would really encourage you to go back and experiment with them, lower the temperature a little bit, increase the brew time, or maybe even reduce the brew time a little bit. Just try things. Find a sweet spot. Get good green tea for one thing. If you're getting tea and it tastes tastes kind of moldy and bad and gross. You know, just try, especially if it's very bitter, lower the temperature. That's been a thing with most people. They kind of expect green teas to be very bitter. They really shouldn't be. People brew them too hot because I think we're just so used to the idea of brewing tea like near boiling because most Americans have their tea experiences with black tea or some derivative of black tea. Um, so they just brew the shit out of them. They brew them much too long. Um, I have known people who are like, yeah, I just love to brew my green tea for 15 minutes. And I'm like, ugh, that sounds terrible. And usually they're brewing it out of a bag too, which bags have like tea dust in them, which extracts very, very quickly and very, very readily. So really brewing those longer, you're really just pulling out you're just absolutely drowning the actual tea flavor in the bitterness. So yeah, not something I recommend. I'm not a big fan of tea bags at all either. So maybe that's just my opinion. I am becoming more and more snobby about tea as time goes on, which for better or worse. So, but anyway, I'm going to enjoy this. So thank you for watching. I will talk more about other teas here soon. I'm thinking of doing a black tea next. I'm not a huge black tea fan, but I do have a couple that I really like Lapsang Souchong, which is a smoky tea. Russian Caravan, which contains Lapsang Souchong, but has a few other things in it that give it sort of a unique flavor flavor profile, which I'm going to experiment with those. I've never made that one in a Gai one, which I think I'm going to try next. But thank you for watching. I will be back in a day or two with another video.